Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me, to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me.
Hello, and welcome to the Majestic Talk show. I'm Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies, y'all. We have a great show for you today. We have Tamara Hunter on the show today. She is a licensed professional counselor. She's going to let you know a little bit more and introduce herself. But we're going to be talking about breaking the cycle, healing from the trauma. Oh my Lord. We're going to be talking about restoring dignity. I'm sorry, y'all. Healing from the legacy of degradation during slavery. So, we're exploring the lasting mental health impacts of slavery on African American communities through historical insights, expert interviews, and personal stories. This series dwells into how centuries old practices of dehumanization and degradation continue to influence identity, self-worth, and relationships today. Let us welcome Tamara Hunter to the stage. Hi, Tamara.
Hello, Latasha. Thanks
Hi,
for
how are
having me today.
you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me
That's
today.
good. Thank you for being here, honey. I got all mixed up there.
That's okay. Take your time. Take your time.
Look,
Yes.
I told you I was too excited today, huh?
You do.
I was. That's the problem. I was so excited coming in that I got myself all messed up over here. But that's cool. That's okay. So, we're talking about restoring dignity, right? Healing from the legacy of degradation during slavery. So, before we get into that conversation, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tamara Hunter. I am a licensed professional counselor and a perinatal mental health certified therapist. My background extends from school system, jails, inpatient, outpatient. Um, Currently, I'm in private practice in Atlanta, and I work with women, men, pregnant people who are experiencing reproductive health issues, pregnancy loss, perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, and infertility. Those who are looking to grow their family and assisting on that pathway with mental health support. I'm
Oh,
also a postpartum doula as well.
you're also what now?
A postpartum doula. So I
Oh,
work with families, yes, once they come home or if they birth at home and, help to support them um, during their postpartum recovery.
okay. That's awesome, girl.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So, where are you from originally?
I'm originally from New York, Queens, New York. I moved to Atlanta when I was 17 years old to go to the illustrious Clark Atlanta University,
Oh,
CAU,
okay.
and became a Georgia peach. It was
All
like, oh,
right.
no
Welcome.
snow.
Welcome to the Great South.
Harvard, but I probably lived down south longer than I lived in New York. So,
Okay, yeah, I love the South though. I love it. It's
Mhm.
hot, but I love it. I love it. It prepares you for other countries. Cause
Okay, hello. It really does because
yeah.
I've lived in Ghana and it's hot. So yeah, Atlanta is hot. But my parents are from North Carolina. My father's from North Carolina. My mom's from South Carolina. So I had the best. I like to say I had the best of both worlds. They met in New
Hmm.
York, so they raised their children in New York. However, we always went down south for Easter and then in the summer. So I've always, yeah, I had both. Yeah, I was exposed to both. Hmm.
Okay. So you like the South better?
I wouldn't say better. Each each one has their perks. New York has a lot of places to eat and the culture and plays and things like that, but I'm not with the snow and the cold. Absolutely not.
Oh, now see,
Yeah.
I love cold air though. Yeah, I don't like the summer. I actually totally despise it. I do not like the summer at all.
Now Atlanta summer is hot. Now I get that. Now if Atlanta had a little bit of water and we had a nice cool breeze, I think that would make a difference. But if we had water, like they say already, Atlanta's full, we would really be full if we had water. Everybody would be. But the older I'm getting, yes, summers are more difficult for me. Absolutely. I can stay in 78 degrees year round. No, not year round, but like 78, 80, anything past 85. Yeah, I'm
So this is good. And here's the reason I did that. Because normally I don't, I normally have this kind of conversation before we come, but I wanted to do this because we need to have a nice, safe environment, right? And
yeah,
the things that we're talking about today, we're talking about dehumanization. You
hmm,
felt humanized, right? Because I wanted to
absolutely.
know something about you. I wanted to invite you in. You're here, and I value what you have to say. So let's look at our history when we didn't have that. Now,
Mhm.
I do want to make sure that this show is the shows this year. We're not about blame here. We just want to understand what happened before, why are experiencing what we are experiencing now, and how we can heal and go forward in the future. I think it's high time that we be free from all of these things. Our history is something we need to hold on to remember, to grow from, to
Yes,
understand and know. But we also have to make sure we know what those landmarks are so that in our present and in our future, we don't continuously to carry that on and continue to have the same trauma that we've been having before. Because we talk about, as we talked about earlier, we talk about generational curses, but we're still experiencing them because of the fact that we are not breaking them. Talking about something and not doing anything about it isn't going to work.
hmm,
So, if people that are listening or not know that, and don't people that are listening, you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about during African American slavery, the dignity of Black people was not just denied; it was violently dismantled, stripped from you.
hmm.
Your name, your culture, and that's why we have a problem finding out what happened back in the day. Now, most of us, a lot of us, cannot trace our generations for thousands of years like other people.
No,
We can't because we have no clue.
yeah,
Okay. So enslaved Africans were treated not as human beings, but as property, bought, sold, and bred like livestock. Men
hmm,
were reduced to brute labor and breeders. Women were raped, exploited, and forced to produce children for profit. Slave holders referred to them as beasts, stock, or savages, and laws were written defining them as three-fifths of a person, stripping away their humanity entirely, chained, abused, and beaten. No, you couldn't even think for yourself. Whatever was told to you, that's what you're going to do. Whatever name that was given to you, that's what you had.
hmm.
And you were threatened if you said anything different. You were shackled to a place, could not see what was going on in the world, experience anything else other than what was allowed. Okay. So, this laid the foundation for dangerous myths. The mammy, the loyal, self sacrificing, emotionally invisible caregiver, the angry black woman demonized for expressing valid emotion, the strong black woman not allowed to rest, break down, or be vulnerable, the strong black man valued only for physicality, silence emotionally, the absent black father, a myth born from the forced separation of families. These were not just roles, they were tools of control. And the trauma of these dehumanizing narratives didn't vanish with emancipation. Oh, everything is over because, hey, we are free from slavery. No, it continued and was passed down through generations. Even Frederick Douglass said and described how enslaved people were denied education and violently separated from loved ones to break their identity. Harriet Jacobs even gave a voice to the anguish of sexual exploitation, showing how even the body was not our own.
Mhm.
You can control your own body. These were
Right.
not just historical facts, they are emotional legacies, and they are still showing up today. Now, where do we see them at, Tamara?
Woo, you said a lot. Listen, I'm over here, I'm rocking, holding my, because I felt it in my spirit, right? So when you are told that you don't, first of all, you have no value, right? Somebody
Mm-hmm.
owns your body. You lost ownership of your body and practices, whatever those ancestral practices may have been, whatever those cultural practices may have been from Africa or the Caribbean. Um, it, it it reinforces a concept that you don't have any self worth, you're not valued, you don't have a self care practice because you're not allowed to have one because you're not cared for, right? In that way, if you're deemed, this body is being deemed as a commodity, right? For
Mm-hmm.
capitalism, right? And so that installation of fear, right, into enslaved Africans led to shame, right? Shame of your skin complexion, your body type, your facial features, and how that affected their self-esteem, self-image, self-confidence, and self-worth has been passed down generationally through our DNA. Some things we just do, we don't even know why we do it, right? It's in us. And then things that also we've seen in our community that have been taught, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
shame leads to telling secrets. And if we had an audience, I would ask them to raise your hand if somebody was told in their family that what stays in this house and
Mm-hmm.
goes on in this house stays in this house, right?
Yes.
So it starts that culture of I'm not enough, right? Not worthy to even share what's happening to me in this house. And it's okay to talk about it, but it's not okay to talk about it because it's now a secret, right? And you're holding on to secrets makes you sick, right? There's a saying, you're only as sick as your secrets. And
Mm.
you reinforce that, right, in your body and it causes, well, it's trauma, and that creates the dis-ease in the body that manifests in illness, not just emotional, physical, mental, spiritual illness. So yeah, this thing is deep. It's deep. It runs long, but I'm also hopeful, and I believe that just like we talk about generational trauma, we can talk there's generational healing and
Mm-hmm.
repairment happen as well.
So,
Yeah.
in our modern day, we see dehumanization from the slavery taking place in the criminalization of Black bodies. Black men
Yeah.
and youth are often seen as threats before they're even seen as humans. Over
Mhm.
policing, racial profiling, and harsh are modern echoes of old lies. Think about George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, how quickly their humanity was erased. It wasn't about who they were, it was about who they did, what they did in their life. So,
Mhm.
and criminalized because of where they live or what they were doing. Media portrayals of Black people are often reduced to harmful stereotypes: thugs, angry Black women, welfare queens, or hypersexualized figures. And these are the same way they looked at us when looked at our ancestors during this time. And a lot of it we're involved in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, but
You gotta tell the truth.
the
Now you gotta tell the truth. That's part of having hard conversations. You got to tell the truth. And when you
mm-hmm,
started earlier, the word that came to me, it was accountability, right? So yeah, these things happen to us in our past. And you mentioned, we're not trying to blame anybody, but everybody needs to be accountable for the part they played, right?
mm-hmm,
And the accountability on us not to continue with this degradation in our own community, con- continue to tear each other down on social media, right? Um, or just calling somebody and gossiping about whomever, right? Perpetuating the cycle and the stereotypes that we get mad at other people for, but we excuse it when we do it. Neither is
mm-hmm.
okay. Neither
Yeah,
is
yeah, we got a lot of work to do. So
okay.
then we do. I'm serious. We have a lot of work to do. Um, we're reduced to hypersexualized figures. These images shape how others see us and how we sometimes see ourselves. Now, the problem is that because of things that have gone on, I think we have grabbed hold to what has been said and started actually acting it out. You know how someone can say for a long time you're stupid and you start acting stupid?
Yes.
So this
Yeah.
is what it seems to me that's happening. We have been told these things for so long. We're nothing. So we just don't, and we are too dumb for education. So why go get an education? How many people are just on the streets today? Instead of getting an education, they're out there doing drugs. Hey, you, I'm not condemning you, but we are we are just grabbing hold to what someone is saying. And I want us to be free from what someone has said and actually grab hold to what God has said about us and what we were before. Before. I think we need to know what we were before these things took
Yeah.
place in our lives. And I think that if we know that, I think we can get through life a little better and we'll see life differently. So even with healthcare neglect, that happened then too. We are still experiencing the same thing. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy related
Yeah.
causes in the US. Mental health
Yeah.
struggles are often ignored, misdiagnosed, or minimized. And it
Mhm.
isn't about biology, it's about bias.
Yeah. Oh,
You eat
absolutely.
in your job, how often do you see that?
Ooh. Okay. So my caseload is primarily Black women.
Hmm.
I do have Caucasian women on my caseload too. And the issues that I will say that my Caucasian women have experienced, it's usually around birth trauma, right?
Hmm.
The issues that my African American, Black, Caribbean, African women who have experienced, it's even before birth. It is discrimination as soon discrimination with trying to conceive, um, not being informed of various choices or routes or pathways to parenthood, not being referred if they have fibroids or endometriosis or when they finally are diagnosed. So let me back up. So before they're even diagnosed, it's not being heard or listened to. I would say that is in every stage of their reproductive journey. That is the number one complaint from Black women. And when I say Black women, I'm just going to put everyone in that category for now, but I have women on my caseload who are African, who are Caribbean, who are African American. The majority of them have shared not being listened to, right?
Mm-mm.
And so um, I've had a couple near misses. I've had the clients who have lost their babies because they were not heard. They were not listened to when they said something was wrong. Um, they were told to go home, or then they come back and it's too late. They're in preterm labor, and the baby didn't make it. Very dismissive of those clients who have had stillbirths. Um, just things I don't want to repeat, of course, because they could be watching, and I don't want to trigger them. But like being blamed. What did you do? What mother would do that? They may have birthed early at home and labored at home for a little bit, and then tried to make it to the hospital thinking they had more time and blamed for that. Yeah, just not nurturing and warm, not nurturing and warm. And when my clients are able to make it to a point in their pregnancy, if they are not someone who have had a previous loss, it's really hard for them to now be excited about this pregnancy because they're fearful and they're scared of it. Am I going to make it to term? And then am I going to die in childbirth? Right?
Mm.
And so I really encourage support systems, having a full spectrum doula if they can afford one. I make suggestions if you have a baby shower or a registry, you add that to the registry, a fund to fund your doula. There are community doulas in Georgia who do take Medicaid if someone is on Medicaid. So we have to save ourselves. Honestly, anybody coming to save us, they never wanted. We weren't supposed to make it this far. Let's just be clear, okay? Nobody put our ancestors in slavery for them to then be free and become the president of the United States. That was never the plan, okay? So nobody coming to save us. No, it's just not happening. And the reality is we have to come together as a community. Just like
That's
at one
true.
time,
That's
everything
true.
was in our community. We had bankers and doctors. Lord, you didn't have to leave your community. And I do understand they burnt some of those communities down. We can do it again. We can do it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, but
true. That's true.
we have so many generations that don't have never seen that don't even know that exists. That's just not common for them, right? So going back to your original question, um, advocacy. My clients have to really advocate for themselves. We talk in sessions about this is what you ask for when you go to the doctor. Ask questions. Bring somebody with you so
Mm-hmm.
that you can have them maybe take notes because it's emotional if you're trying to conceive, if you are pregnant, if you've lost a baby and you're coming back for your checkup. Like all of those things are you're hypersensitive, and the cultural piece of sensitivity is missing. I think for a lot of practitioners. Um, and so we go through all of the steps of how can I keep myself safe, how do I advocate for myself? And how do I leave this delivery room alive and with my baby?
That's but
I
you're
don't have
right.
those conversations with my Caucasian clients, my white clients. I do not have any of those conversations about dying in child. Nothing. We have like no, our conversations might be perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, and yes, there's some discrimination there too. I have had white clients who, a doctor told her she couldn't breastfeed and be on a psychotropic, which is not true, and she spiraled, which of course she would because this is already stressful enough, and then now you're telling me I can't get my medication, things like that, but not the discrimination. No, I haven't had anyone report to me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. No. No. You're right. I think that we got so comfortable though in coming together with everybody else's stuff that we decided that there was no need to have people that would advocate for us, or there was no need to have black communities and black, you know what I'm saying, because I think it was discouraged, because even now it looks as if you're being divisive.
Mhm. Mhm.
Cause to be honest, doing this show, guess what? I had a time getting
Mm.
people to come because it seems divisive to talk about these topics.
You know, it's so interesting you said that. I just had this conversation yesterday with one of my clients. When do we get to a point? Well, we know when, but why? We know why too. Okay, I'm not even going to ask that question. But we should be able to have it's conversation. Conversation, confrontation leads to clarification, at least to
Mm-hmm.
understanding, right? So we should be able to have conversations about hard topics or uncomfortable topics and still walk away with respect, right? And some sense of enlightenment, right? That's the only way we learn is from discussing issues, topics with other people who have different opinions, right? You don't have to agree, but you respect what this person has to say and you can humble yourself and you can actually learn something. It
Mm-hmm.
still may not be your way, but you have a level of understanding. And I don't understand this. Oh, you hating, or if you don't like something, if you don't like a certain artist, oh, you're a hater. No, I just don't like that style of rap. I'm entitled to not like that. I'm a whole human being with a whole mind. I mean, it doesn't mean I hate that artist or I just don't want to listen to that. I'm not going to that like I have the right to say that. When does when do we get here? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So everybody's supposed to be cookie cutter and we're all supposed to just do the same thing. No, not doing it.
But
I'm not.
yeah, me, me either. Cause you see, I'm
I'm a
doing these
rebel.
shows. I mean,
Yes,
so.
I'm a rebel without this show. Never gonna happen.
But I understand it. However, that's just another thing that's being stripped from you. You don't see anybody else saying to any other person saying you can't talk about this because this is divisive. They're gonna talk about it anyway. So, that's just it.
Oh, but
But
it goes back to what we said about the freedom and fear, right?
hmm
We don't have African Americans don't walk through the world with that same level of freedom and confidence. You're always thinking and looking around and okay, I don't want to appear too aggressive or I don't want to we're the I'm not going to say we're the only ones, but we do that. It's just second nature. So if you're always walking around with this your neural system always hyped and activated, right? You care about what other people think about you and what that perception might be. And I don't want to offend when you're just simply being who God ordained you to be. You have the right, it's your birthright to show up in this world bold, big, and beautiful
hmm
because that's who God ordained you to be. I'm not supposed to look like Latasha because God made Tamara. I'm supposed to look like me and have my own thoughts and my own opinions. I'm not supposed to fit in.
hmm
And this you know individualism is lost. Like I like that I'm different. You know, I don't want to be like somebody else. I don't really care at this big age, and I honestly really don't care at this age. You like if I'm for you, I'm for you. If I'm not, I'm not, and that's okay. Like I'm not
hmm
supposed to be for everybody else. I'm supposed to be for the people who are like me in spirit. That's who I'm supposed to be for.
Yeah, I think that's important that we do be ourselves. And I think we are so prone to look at everybody else, even the same regardless of what color that person is. We're always looking to be like someone else instead of being like you said, the person that God has intended for us to be. And when we're pretending to be like everybody else, we lose sight of the things that we need to work on in ourselves. We lose sight on the things that God has placed in us, and we don't use them. That's why they say that the cemetery is the richest place in the world, because so many people take their gifts to the grave without using them, because we're not confident, because we don't feel like we can do it, because of what we look like or what we sound like, or anything like that. That's why they've gone to the grave without using those gifts. But you have to understand and know that the purpose is in you, and what's in you is necessary for someone else. Let's just think about it. If all of us, with all the things that happened in the past with our ancestors and all of that, if we continue to allow the trauma of that to still cloud our judgment today, and it is clouding a lot of our judgment, it's clouding our judgment. It's causing us not to be who we're supposed to be, because we are afraid of what someone else is going to say. And because of what someone has said, then we're not doing what we're supposed to do. If we continue to do that, guess what? There's something in you that I need.
Mm-hmm.
There's something in me that you or someone else needs. That
Yeah.
person does not get what they need when you don't use what you have.
Right. When you're not living in purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Purpose is so important to me
Mm-hmm.
because it is so important to me. That's why I'm a purpose coach. It's so important to me because if you don't know what your purpose is, and if you don't live out your purpose, you leave this world lacking something. And
Yeah.
the world was supposed to be better with you in it. But if you never use what you have, it's not going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but let's continue. Let's continue. We pretty much talked about your identity, so you need to
I know we're gonna bring it back, but somebody needed to hear that. Somebody out there needed to hear that. I don't know. I'll be
yeah, yeah,
going on a tangent.
yeah. But it's okay. That's good because it goes with the whole show. Okay. It goes with the show. So we see it in economic and educational in we see that it is underfunded schools and limited access to jobs silently say you don't matter. It sends a message that black brilliance is disposable or secondary.
Yeah.
And it's true because look what's happening. Back in the day, right after everybody was free, somewhat free, and
Hmm.
they were able to go to certain schools. Man, black people were living it up. They were doctors, lawyers. You know what I'm saying? And that's in us. I think, and let's just go back a little bit, because I don't think what we don't understand is before we were taken into slavery, your ancestors had to be really great because they only take the best of the best, because whoever they conquer, they want to leave the least of them there so that they can have the best of them, and then the least of them won't do much, and then they don't have to worry about them redeveloping themselves the way they would have if we were still there. You have to understand, whoever's listening out there, you have to understand what's in you. Not only were you kings and queens, you education, girl. I mean, people from all over the world would come into Timbuktu to
Right.
that library to get and colleges there, schools there to get the education. They didn't have what you had.
Yeah.
And that is still in you. You know the strength
Mhm.
it took. The strength
Yeah.
it took to travel on those boats with people using the bathroom right there next to you, only having what was it, an inch or foot apart? People dying around you, sharks following the ships because they knew that people would be thrown overboard. Your ancestors survived all of that.
Hmm.
Not only that, but they survived the the torture, the nightmares, the actual hell they had to go through to get you here to pray, get down on their knees, to fight to make sure that we did not face the same thing that they faced. They went through all of that so that you can be where you are. So, in educational wise and economic wise, honey, if you're not taking advantage of what your ancestors did for you, then that's a total disregard and being and not being appreciative of what they did. I often hear people say, I don't know who you talk to because I'm not my ancestors, honey. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
Well, you should be like your ancestors because
exactly.
here's what you don't understand. I don't know who told you that lie, that they did not fight. I don't know who lied to you and said
Thank
that they
you.
just took this stuff lying down. Yeah, there are a lot of things we think that they could have done, but you were not in their situation or in their circumstance. They tried a lot of things. But when a time comes for freedom, the time comes. And until then, you have to
Mhm.
endure where you are. You have to understand, think about what took place. I know we're getting a little bit off course here, but here's the thing.
Mm. No,
Think
we right
about,
on.
think about, think about what happened when they did get free. Think about that. Maybe if they had have been freer earlier than what they were, maybe they wouldn't have had the same mindset. They
Mhm.
wouldn't have gone through, when you go through trouble like that, that trouble strengthens you. That trouble becomes something that you can use for purpose. They turned their pain into purpose. People were free because so many people were free because one woman decided that she was going to get free, but she was going to go back and get everybody else that she could. This
Yeah,
woman, how many women did you know, do you know of were actually commanding a troop?
right.
I can't hear you, not one. Okay, good. So So listen, I don't want to hear, I really don't want to hear anybody say that again. Because to be honest, those
Yeah.
are the shoulders that you are standing on. Those are the shoulders, those are the people that you can learn a little bit about faith from. Those are the people
Mhm.
who understood. And again, I don't know who told you that they only knew Christianity when they got over here in America. That is not true either.
Yeah.
Let's just understand that the world began in Africa. So
Yeah.
obviously they knew something about God already. So
Exactly.
again, let's destroy that myth and that lie. Okay,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
already knew
Yeah.
who God was. A lot of them knew who God was. So just let's that just throw that
Yeah.
all away. Whatever you thought you knew,
You
you
don't.
you don't know.
And the rhetoric of repeating stuff that you might saw on a TikTok or something, and not really doing your own history research. And no, did we learn about those ancestors who revolted? Of course not, because they wasn't trying to teach us that. They wanted us to think that they was just happy go along being in slavery.
Mhm.
So you have to really do your own research, and it's up to us also to teach our children, nieces, nephews, community members, the truth about our enslaved ancestors. They did not. You're right. They did not take. Everybody did not just take it lying down. And you think about the consequences for your family, your children.
Mhm.
Right? There was, and go where? Right? So you leave,
Yeah.
and then where you going? In the woods, getting bit? Like, come on. Like, it's not as simple as it seems. And I have to admit, as a child, be like, why did they just leave? Because I didn't really
Mhm.
understand the full concept and scope and the gravity of the situation, right? And of course, I said it out of anger, as a child. But as you get older, it's on you to learn, to learn. And when we talk about education, I want to be clear: everybody doesn't have to go to college. Everyone doesn't have to
Mhm.
go, to grad school. Those things we're talking about now. I do think you need to go and finish high school. Now that I
Mhm.
that it's not like it was, in my parents' generation, where if you dropped out of high school, you can go get a government job. Like, clearly, as we see everything
Mhm.
that's happening now, that is gone. You became in New York, you could be a civil service worker. You get out of 18 and you can ride that out to retirement, and it was good benefits, and those days are gone. So you
Mhm.
have to educate yourself, whether it's with a trade, College isn't for everybody, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Start your own business, but get the education behind it so your business can sustain, right? Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and ask somebody to mentor you, right? Brainstorm some of these ideas um, that you've been sitting on with someone else. Humility. I'm gonna say it again. Having humility, right? To be in conversation with others so that you can learn.
Yeah, that's so true. Listen, we and then maybe that is part of the problem. We haven't learned about it. We've only grabbed what was told to us, and I
Yeah.
was guilty of that too, but I'm nosy. So um I wanted to know. And I'm gonna be honest, some my sisters were saying, don't you think you need to just take a break from that? No, why not? No. And they were like, they were doing what? And
Mhm.
then I tell them, they're like, what? I didn't never hear anything about this. No, that's the
Mhm.
reason you need to go learn all of this stuff. You
Yes.
need to know who you are. Okay, start
Mhm.
even before slavery. Look at
Yes.
who your ancestors were. And they had, and understand, they had to have something great in them for someone to travel that far to get
Mhm.
them so that their life here could be better.
Mhm.
You know what? And I think this is what we need. Maybe I had too many notes. So this is where we need to be at here. Because I
Yeah.
think it's important that we know that they traveled that far. Do you know the diseases that they got? How many of those people that were on the ship? I ain't talking about the black people. I'm
Right.
talking about the people who were working on the ships, the people
Mhm.
who were the captains and all of that. Lost limbs, honey.
Yes.
Just to go get your ancestors.
Right.
Some of them didn't make it back.
Yep. Yep. And we're
They
still
wanted you
here.
so bad. They wanted
Right.
your ancestors that bad. Honey, if they were dumb, they wouldn't have came to get them. If they
Exactly.
didn't have any value, they wouldn't have gone through all that trouble to develop these technologies that they use in order to keep them bound. The lies they had to tell.
Mhm.
They want
See that
you were
same value in yourself.
uh-huh.
See that value in yourself that somebody else saw in your ancestors to rip them from their environment.
Yeah. And look how America is today. Girl, honey, Tamara, how you say your name again?
Tamara, it's
Ta-
okay. It's either
Tamara. Oh no,
Tamara,
honey, I don't want to.
Tamara, look, Tamara, Tamara, or Tamara. Those
No,
are three ways people say this kind of
Tamara.
Tamara.
Girl,
Mm-hmm.
you know what's in you. You have something so great in you that
Hmm.
people are still lying because they don't want you to be who you are.
Exactly.
I even did the research to see. I was at work and I was doing a Black History PowerPoint. Child, that
Hmm.
slide was over 500 slide. That thing was over
Right.
500 slides.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we did what?
The history is so
Huh?
vast and so rich. It's
Yes,
so
I
much
didn't.
you can't cover it in an hour.
No. You know how long that thing was? And that's because I had to stop. That thing was like 10 hours long. And
I
I
bet.
let it run all day on the television there at the
Mm-hmm.
job because
Good.
we have so much in us. Think about the societies and the towns and cities that were destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to go anywhere else to get what they needed. Like you said before, it was all where they are. Where you are is where everything you need.
Hmm. Yeah. And think about seeing that. That instills a level of pride, right? A sense of pride within a small child, right? To see that
Mm-hmm.
in their community. Yeah. But if
Mm-hmm.
you everything that you do in your community, who the people who may I'm gonna just say authority, right? Don't look like you, right? You don't see yourself in them. You don't think that that can be you because you don't see you. You see yourself as inferior and that these people have to manage or police my community, right? When you can manage and police yourself, right? So I mean, it was all by design, and definitely not default. It was by design. I just want and I hope that you doing shows like this, other people doing shows, speaking, or just do conversations, that we can see um, where the trickery is and not to fall for the trap. Right? Once you know yourself and you know your history, you don't fall for anything. Right? Like Malcolm X said, right? You don't, if you stand for something, you don't fall for anything. So knowledge is definitely power. Um, and then we want to shoot for wisdom after that. Right?
Hmm.
The wisdom to know when and how, right? To use that knowledge that you have. Hmm.
Even with our mental health and how we have that strong man, like I said, the strong black man stereotype that only 1 in 3 black men who need mental health care actually receive it, with stigma and expectations to appear strong sided as major barriers. All of these things took place so that you would not be able to talk about what goes on inside of you.
Right.
As long as you're keeping, and you know that's exactly like you said before, that's exactly what we do. We don't know who we are, so we don't want people to think the wrong things about us. So we decide that we're not going to talk about what's going on inside us, and then guess what? We be even worse.
Right. Then you explode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it perpetuates that same stereotype. Right? So yeah, yeah. But when you think about black men, that's a whole nother whole episode. Um, and not having that permission to emote, right? Because if I do anything that's deemed
Mm-hmm.
loud or
Mm-hmm.
expressive, right? Even just being joyful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laughing with your homeboys, y'all might be, on the corner talking, laughing, whatever. Just having that play in your mind that you even have to constrain your movement because it might be perceived as, like, that is a mental health issue right there. Just not
Mm-hmm.
before you even dig deep into anything else, just not even having the freedom to simply just be, right? How repressive and depressing is that? You know, like, it's just, yeah, it breaks my heart, honestly. It does. I mean, black women, we know we got some stuff that has been placed on us that's not ours
Mm-hmm.
either. Um, but they do too, and um, I just, yeah, it may not look like traditional therapy. However, if there's one person, black man, that you feel safe with and comfortable with, just talking. Talking to your homeboys, your homegirls, that's a form of therapy. It may not,
Mm-hmm.
young and all the theorists in there, but that's starting it. Like, that's starting the process of breaking down that wall, and being seen and being heard. Just starting there, having conversation.
Yeah. So to that person that we've talked a lot about identity and talked a lot about purpose and and knowing who you are, the importance, because again, that's one of the major important things to that
Hmm.
woman or that man that's experiencing the things we talked about. We talked about the black strong man. We talked about the black woman being strong, and we've also talked about the mammy, who's the caregiver. And we can't show our emotions and all of those things. The
Hmm.
person that doesn't think that they are capable of being greater than where they are because of what has been said to them, regardless of who said it. What do you say to that person?
Hmm. I usually tell people, the things that you tell yourself, that you say to yourself, would you say a close friend, best friend, whatever, right? Would if they said those things about themselves, what would you tell them? Oh, I would say, girl, no, girl, you know you are smart, you are beautiful, you are this, you are that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
starting to reframe some of those negative thoughts, reinforcing those negative thoughts that ask yourself, where did I even get this? Why do I believe this? Where did I get this from? Was this something that society said? Was it something um, that my parents or grandparents said, cousins, community? Like, and do I believe it? Do I really,
Mm-hmm.
really believe that? Or did I just accept that that's who I am or what I think about myself, right? Starting with checking in with yourself, self care. And I know we throw that around all the time, but self care does not look like going to the spa. If you can, great. But when I say self care, I mean prioritizing your mental, emotional wellness. Self care looks like I'm not watching the news, right? Maybe I'm going to read it. Maybe I'm going to listen to NPR or something, right? A credible source. Self care looks like I can't answer the phone today for, whomever because I don't have the bandwidth, I don't have the capacity. Self care looks like I'm going to drink more water today, or I'm going to go to bed early. Like,
Mm-hmm.
really, every day checking in and doing something for your mind. Like, if you think about a triangle, mind, body, spirit, right? Mind, body, spirit. And doing one thing, it could be drinking some tea, it could be I'm going to watch a comedy because I need to laugh because the world is heavy, right? Going inside, not externally, for validation, right? God already validated you. The fact that you're here and born, that's it. You don't need validation from anybody else, not your boss, not your mama, not your daddy, your cousin, nobody. God already validated you. You here, right? So not looking externally for validation, going inside and really getting to know who you are, being still, being quiet, right? So if you are a person that does pray, right? When you pray, you are asking the questions. When you sit still in meditation, you're receiving the answers. That's the download.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's the spiritual download, right? So we have to start regulating our nervous system and being still. We just go to therapy. People aren't. Everybody's not there yet, right? That might be the goal and the path to getting to that place is really being still with yourself and getting to know yourself. Like, who am I really? Right? Taking the time to slow down just a little bit, right? Actually have breakfast at home and cook before you go to work or school or wherever you're going for that day, right? Being really mindful and intentional about what you're putting in your body visually, right? What you're speaking out of your mouth,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what you're listening to, and how that affects your spirit. Am I listening to something in the morning before I start my day that, may not be something that's going to sustain me through the rest of the day? Do I need to drive into work in quiet? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Starting small, getting outside with nature, just taking a walk. Everybody can't afford the gym. I don't like the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, right? Doing some simple stretches, you know, connecting with your body, mind, body, spirit, doing one thing. You can do one thing that addresses all three, like walking out in nature. You're communing with nature, with your spirit, right? Your body is moving, and you're clearing your mind, body, spirit. One activity doesn't cost you anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Starting to, and then I would say for someone who might be a little more advanced, starting to have those conversations, authentic, real conversations, once you've done that authentic work within yourself with family, if you have family, or if your family is not relatives, they're community, that's your family, right? Maybe you have a spiritual community. Starting to have those conversations with people you feel safe with, where you can be vulnerable and express what it is that you really do need, right? I need support in this area. Are you able to do that, right? How does that person need support? I used to have a group of friends. We would meet up once a month, and everybody would list what they were working on. One person was trying to get into grad school, and she's like, "Okay, I need somebody to contact me every week to just check on me to see if I put the application in." And so one person was like, "I can do that." The other person was like, "I need to go to the gym." I'm not the gym person, so I wasn't the one that supported her to the gym with the gym. But the other person was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get a membership with you, and I'm going to the gym with you." Do you see what I'm saying? Like community, we can do this together. We can help and save our community, right? Now, for the person who is ready to go to therapy, so think about what type of therapy works for you. If you like talk therapy, right? There's talk therapy. Some people um, can do like movement and express somatic therapy, where somebody you do some movement, yoga, you can do art, right? You can do drama therapy, music therapy, all the different types of things. Like start looking and researching. If you have insurance, what does your insurance cover? How many sessions do you want to maybe go to a group? Is maybe that's better for you instead of one on one. But just start looking. Like when you start asking the questions, the answers, I promise you, they come. They come. And look, Big Brother's always watching. So something's gonna pop up on your phone anyway. When you start talking, it's gonna pop up on your phone, ad, and it's gonna be like, oh, boom, right there, right? But you owe it to yourself. I would say just give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to lay down whatever that heaviness is and prioritize your mental and emotional well-being.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Permission,
amazing.
you
Yeah.
deserve it. We don't
Yeah,
this hustle culture. No, I don't believe in that at all. All this multitasking, that's not a real thing. You can't do you can't give 100% to three different things. It's just impossible. First of all, math is math. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. So give yourself permission to prioritize your wellness because you deserve it.
that's awesome. That's awesome. See, normally I would just say that, but you know what? Everything I have right here, you pretty much covered. So you said, so here's some things I'm gonna add, but I'm gonna add them at the end because what I want it to be the last thing I say at the end.
Okay.
So you said, healing community. And that's important because we are created for community. God
Yes.
told Adam, it is not meant for man to be alone. So he
Mhm.
created Eve, a community. Not only did he do that, but before he put man in the earth, everything else was already provided and put in place. That's community. So he created you for community, and that's good. You healed in community, like you said. Practice worthlessness daily. I am worth it. Worth is just known, it must isn't just known, it must be practiced. You have to say every day that you are worthy. Rest without guilt, set boundaries without apology, speak up without shrinking, ask for help without shame. Now, when we were talking about the mammy thing, that's,
Mhm.
you don't want to ask for help.
Right.
I do that. I don't like asking for help
Yeah.
because I feel like I could probably just go ahead and do it myself. But we were talking about that chat GPT earlier and how
Uh-huh.
and how that has been a help, honey. That
Hello.
has been a help to me because it does
No,
some
that's
research
right.
for you. That's a part, y'all. Chat GPT is a part of my community. God bless God for it. But
I feel you. Absolutely. Why work smarter, not harder?
That's
Okay.
right. When you
Yes.
ask
Yes.
for help, because I do
Yes.
not want to ask ChatGPT and I don't want to ask anybody else for help because I think that that takes away my strength. And I think that's a part of the problem. We think that it takes away from us. It makes us look as if we cannot handle something, that we are not as strong as we think we
Mhm,
should be. Even
mhm.
when grieving for the loss of my mother, I had community so that I can
That's
heal.
right.
So, community, like you said, is very important, but it's also important for you to daily tell yourself that I am worth it. Every act of self love and truth telling is a rebellion against dehumanization. We want
Yes,
to talk about, we want to get free and from it every day you live. Every time you tell yourself the truth and love yourself, you are defeating dehumanization.
that's right.
So
Take your power back. Take
that's
your power
right.
back. If you got to write
So,
affirmations on the wall, sticky notes,
mhm.
lipstick on the mirror, I used to do that in college. Do it. Whatever you have to do to remind yourself every day, I am worthy, I am beautiful, I am powerful, right? Do it. Do it. Listen to your body.
Mhm.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You got
But
it.
I like this thing too. Grieve the lies.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dehumanization often leaves behind shame, silence, and sorrow. So you're allowed to grieve it. What was stolen, your voice, your peace, your safety. Grieve it and then start healing and telling yourself the truth.
Mm.
I mean, this is amazing. So, before I go with the last one that I want to say right before we leave out, I want you to tell everyone how they can get into contact with you.
Yes. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Tamara Hunter on IG. I'm on LinkedIn, Tamara Hunter, Facebook. My private practice is Womb Wisdom Wellness, WOMB Wisdom Wellness, and that I'm on IG. You can Google me as well. And it's real simple. TamaraClearHunter.com is my website. And so, yes, I would love for you to contact me, sign up for the newsletter, um, and stay in touch and find out all the things that's going on in my world and offerings that I can share with you as well. If you are someone who's watching this and you feel like you want to book a call, absolutely you can do that too at 470-344-9962. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all go work with Tamara. Didn't
You
I say
said
it
it.
right?
You got it. You got it. You got it.
So, y'all,
Yes.
before we leave out of here, I'm Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other good goodies. This is the Majestic Talk Show. Thank you for watching. But before we leave, here's what I want you to do: reconnect with divine truth. You are created in God's image, not in the image of oppression. Your identity precedes injustice. Before you were harmed, overlooked, or misnamed, God called you good, chosen, and beloved. Even Jesus was dehumanized and still walked in divine purpose. His story reminds us your worth is not diminished by how others treat you. Here's your affirmation for today. I am made in God's image. My worth is not up for debate. I'll see you next month for the Majestic Talk Show. Have a great
Talk to me. Majestic talks. Come and talk to me. Talk to me, to me. Talk to me, to me.